Hello and welcome everyone to another Bocky tutorial. Today I will be showing you how to make a handle on a bag like these here. And this is Tunisian crochet, and don't let that scare you off because it's really fun. So these were the windmill bags, these two, and I made two handles on each of them. And I use this handle a lot. I use it on the belly towel bag as well. And on this bag I did some surface crochet with yellow. So you can make it as wild as you like. And here's another one with just black. And I'm going to show you how to attach, to start the handle at the top of the pointed top of a bag. So all these handles start at these pointed tops here, and this Tunisian crochet has a tendency to curl around a bit, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So it's curling around this top here, and I enclosed a piece of rope or cord. You can use anything you like. I use just a piece of simple cord to make it stronger. So when the handle is crocheted, we lay the cord inside and then you zipper seam those two sides of the handle together. So that was the short description of the handle, and I will now start telling you the longer version. I suggest to download the Belly Tile 2 pattern. It's a free pattern that you will find in my Ravelry store. And on page 18 I describe how this handle is made. And I will be using that written part of the pattern to guide you through the steps of the handle today. I will crochet a handle on this bag today, and I will be working from this point to this point here. So it's going to be only one handle, and I will be using this Hobby Rainbow cotton on a hook size 3 millimeters. Usually for Tunisian crochet you are advised to use a bigger hook, but because I like the handle to be tight and strong, I'm just going to use the same size hook. And that will get you the handles that I just showed you. On page 19 of the pattern it says to pull up 6 loops near the top of the bag. This is the top of the bag where we are going to start the handle. And the first and the 6th loop are going to be pulled up in the 4th stitch from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one is going to be pulled up here, and the 6th one is going to be pulled up there. And we're going to pull up 6 loops and keep them on the hook and divide those loops evenly along this bit here till there, because that's going to be the 6th loop here. So I've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there is the 4th loop from the top, number 6. I have 6 loops on my hook now, and I will have 6 loops on the hook every time on the forward pass. This is called the forward pass in Tunisian crochet, when you add loops to your hook. Place a marker around the front bar of the 6th stitch and the yarn end. This is going to make it easier for you to crochet the next forward pass. So this is the front bar here, the one at the front, and that is the loop that we are going to continue crocheting with. That is where you place your stitch marker. What we are going to do now is called the return pass. Return pass is casting off loops off the hook till you have 1 loop left on the hook. The return pass always starts with a chain 1. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is all you need to do. And this yarn at the back, you can pull it tight later or work it away later. I'm just leaving it there. So that was one return pass. We are going to start on the next forward pass. For the forward pass, you are not going to work in this bar here. That is just going to stay there. The forward pass is going to pick up loops in these vertical bars here and that one at the end. Normal Tunisian simple stitch would mean pick up a loop behind that vertical bar, like so. But I am doing the modified Tunisian simple stitch, and that means that the hook gets inserted under the vertical bar and under that top horizontal bar as well, and then pull up a loop. And you do that for all these stitches here. So I have 3 now, and I have to see that I get 6 loops on my hook till the end. It's going to be 6 loops on the hook every time you finished a forward pass. 4, and this is number 5. Don't forget to insert the hook under that horizontal bar as well. And now you will see why it's handy that we have the stitch marker here. You just need to insert where the stitch marker is and pull up a loop. So that's all. And then you take the stitch marker out and move it up. And you move it up again around this forward bar here. And, oh, can you still see it? And the yarn. I hope that was clear. So I've moved the stitch marker up, and it's around this forward bar here and the yarn. And I'm ready for the next return pass. So here we go for another return pass. We start with a chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, till you end with only 1 loop on your hook. And that was the return pass. This will be tighter when it's finished. I will show you one more forward pass. The forward pass, we are going to pick up loops again, and we're going to skip this one here, pick up a loop in those 2 bars. Pick up a loop by inserting your hook under those 2 bars there. And that is all the forward post is about. And then the last stitch, which is also called the end stitch, we insert where the stitch marker is and pull up a loop. And again, you can move up the stitch marker, move it around this front bar here and the yarn end, and you're ready for the next return pass, which will start with the chain 1. I did the chain 1 already. I'll just do one more return pass so that you can see that there's nothing else to it than this. And this is all there is to it: forward passes and back passes and moving up the stitch marker. And don't forget the chain 1 on this side before you start the return pass. If you like to count the rows you've done, because on the small bags I did 2 handles, so I did want them to be equally long. So if you want to make 2 handles and you want to have them equally long, it's quite easy to count the rows. Just count these vertical bars here. So 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, and then your handles will be the same length. I will meet you when this handle is at the length that I need it, and then I'll show you how to continue from there. When your handle reaches the length that you want it to be, it's time to cast off. And casting off starts on this side with only 1 stitch on your hook. Insert the hook under these 2 stitches as you would when you pick up a loop. And then to cast off, pull the loop through all the loops on your hook. So that's 1. And we're casting off the next one here. Just pull the yarn through all the loops on your hook. And there's one more. and the last one is the special, the end stitch. It has 2 loops as well, and pull it through, and you can remove the stitch marker. And now pattern says to leave the yarn and to cut it 4 times the length of your handle. I'm going to cut it now because this is a rather long handle and I need to sew with this yarn end. And sewing is not so bad if it's a shorter handle and you have 4 times the length, but with this longer handle it's going to be a bit troublesome. So I'll just cut it and I'll have 2 yarn ends more. That's no problem. And then we can start attaching this to the other side of the bag. That side. This is what my handle looks like at the moment. It's all curled around, so almost nice like I want it, but we're gonna insert a piece of rope in here and close a piece of rope in here, and we're going to close this still. But first we are going to sew the other end of the handle to the other side of the bag and make sure that the handle is not twisted. So that's a point of interest. And then we are going to sew it to this side here. So make sure this is not twisted. And then we're going to sew it here. With a darning needle, you're going to sew through the 4th stitch from the top, just like you started adding stitches from the 4th stitch from the top. On the side, we are going to sew it to the 4th stitch from the top as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert the needle there, and we are going to use both loops of the cast off stitches, and then just work to the other side there and insert the hook, the needle under these stitches here and through both loops of those cast off stitches. It's all the same color, so it doesn't really have to be very neat. And it will be perfect. So this is how I do it. If you have a better idea, I would love to hear it. So almost there. Just this one more. There's one more cast off stitch here. And on that side it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go through there as well. And the handle is secured to the top of the other side of the bag. And now we are going to cut a piece of rope and lay it in there. I am gonna keep this bit of yarn here so that I can sew the rope to it. So I'm just gonna work this yarn end to the top of this pointed part here, and then we are going to get a piece of rope and I'll show you how that is done. So far so good. When the end of your rope is like this, it will not be nice to work with. So what I do is I tie it together, and this is what I learned when I was still doing macrame. And you're gonna wind this around. Oh, did you see that? So you're gonna hold it like this and then wind this around there. This is gonna be sticking out there. Just wind it around there about 10 times and then wind it tight. You see where I'm going? That's still, it needs to be a bit further. Wind it tight, and now insert this through that little hole there. and then pull, hold this here and pull this up there, and then by pulling this under this wound up part, it will all be secure. So, and you can just cut that, and you can cut that awkward piece of rope as well, and this will be nicer to work with. And we can do that on the other side of the rope as well. What I'm going to do now is not really necessary, but it is nicer to work with if this is secured here. If your hook still will fit under these stitches, your needle, then no, yes, then just pull it up there, and you can leave it, and then this pointed part of the square will be in this handle, and all of this will be in the handle too. And now we can start closing this in here. We are going to close this handle around the rope and around this pointed part of the square here with a zipper seam. And that means that we are going to connect this back loop on the back loops on this side, so this one here, to the back loops on that side, and that's this one here. Make sure you get this the back loops of the same rows. So these two are going to be our starting back loops, and I will start with a slip knot on my hook this time because that's easier now, and I can work it away in the handle later. So I'm going to start with those two, and you insert the hook from the outside to the inside, and your yarn, your working yarn, is in the handle behind your work. Also on the other side, you insert the hook from the outside to the inside. Then you pull the yarn up through all the loops on your hook, and your first stitch is done. And this is how you are going to continue up along the handle, picking the back loops and pulling the yarn up through all the loops on your hook, and make sure you insert from the outside to the inside, from the outside to the inside on both sides, and you pull up your yarn. If you insert the wrong way around, so out, it's not going to be neat. That's not going to be good. You need to insert from the outside to the inside. And make sure your working yarn stays behind your work inside the handle, and you will notice that the rope will disappear in the handle while you're doing this, and it will all be neat. Rope stays in there from the outside to the inside, and just pull the yarn through. So, and you can use your needle, so your hook, to push it in. I'll show you one more time. There you go. And this is very neat stitching because this seam looks like the stitches next to it. It's very flat and round, and this is a strong seam and a strong handle. And everything's connected nicely, closed in nicely. And I'll meet you at the end of this handle, and I'll show you how to fasten that off, and then the handle will be ready and the whole bag will be finished. The handle of this bag is almost ready. I have zipper stitched it up to here, and now I only need to make sure that this bit of rope is attached to the pointed part here. The yarn end that you see here is the yarn end that I had when I started crocheting this handle, when I started the Tunisian crochet. So it's still there, and I moved it up to the pointed part here. And I will just make another macrame knot here so that this rope is closed neatly and won't get all like this. So we're gonna wrap this around there a couple of more times, and then you can cut the rope to the length that you need, and this bit of yarn can be pulled through there as well. So I'll just show you how this is done again one more time. So this should be tight, and then this yarn end goes through that little loop there. And if you don't know how this is working, you can also just choose. So just finish this first, pull that up there. And now I didn't do it very tight, but it's okay. If you don't know how to work this, you can just tie this yarn end around the rope as well, as long as it's holding on together. So I'm gonna move this one up that a little knot that I made there, here. So, and then it will be all nice and flat. And I'll just cut off all the ends now, because it's going to be inside the, all going to be inside the handle. And you won't see anything anymore. We don't need this lump here, so we're going to cut that as well. And I can cut this as well. Well, I'll leave that. That's the yarn and it's coming through there. I'll just leave it in here. So now all we need to do is zipper stitch this closed around the rope. If you do not have that starting yarn end there anymore, just thread in a loop here. And actually this might even be better. Move both ends up here and then tie them together there, and that will be more secure. So, and then you can just leave these here. You can tie them together around the rope and then finish that zipper seam. I'm just going to make a knot here so that it's nice and tight. And that's secure. So this is a bit fiddly. Depends on the kind of rope that you're using. If you're using old t-shirt yarn or whatever, that is easier to connect. So I'm just going to cut this a bit and then finish that seam. Finishing the last few stitches of that zipper stitch at the end here is a bit fiddly again, because there are all those yarn ends and rope ends. But just go as far as you can to close this all in here. And once this is closed, you can fasten off and work away the yarn inside this handle. And then your handle will be ready. The last zipper stitch is done. I've pulled the yarn up and out, and I'll just give it a few more stitches here to keep this closed together. And then I'll work that yarn end up into the handle and it will be done. I cut my yarn already and I was being lazy, and now it's a bit short. But this is the idea. So, and now this can be worked inside the handle. This starting yarn end can just be worked away inside the handle. Just move it up in there. And if you feel you need to move it up and down a few more times, that's fine. Then just do that. And that'll be worked away. And you can cut it. And then the handle is ready. We are at the end of this tutorial. The bag has a handle and I've shown you all the steps. I hope everything was clear and that you are now able to make a handle like this on your own. And I've made many of these handles already, and I think they are very cute. If you like to make a stripe on your handle like I did here, I suggest you surface crochet on the handle before you close the two sides together around the rope with the zipper stitch, or you use a different color to do the zipper stitch. Then you will have about a little bit the same effect. That is all I wanted to show you, and I hope you liked this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know, and have a great day.